Hey guys, I'm back here again. We got another quick video. This is the final updated video detailing the Honda HRX machine here with the auto choke problem, the carb problems on the machine here. We finally got the machine ready to go for the customer. They're coming over and picking the job up here today sometime. So I just want to do a final video specifically detailing this machine here. The auto choke we had to install. Genuine new carb on here. Here's the old carb right here for reference points. This one has the auto choke feature on the top. You can tell by that because it has these black attachment on the top right here for it. It's typically spring loaded on these things right here. The auto choke was indeed not working correctly, and also the carb had a bunch of debris in the actual carb itself too, so the entire fuel system had to be taken off the machine and cleaned out and rebuilt. So we went ahead and did that. He also wanted a partial tune-up on the machine as well too. And the auto choke is working okay now. Before, it was basically sticking in the open position. It is currently in the closed position right now. Let me see and get a good shot here for you guys. The camera focus, sorry about that. There it is. Camera is closed. This thing's closed right now. The engine is cold, and that's how it should look when it's functioning correctly right there for that. You can manipulate the auto choke on top of the engine here if you can get your fingers, if you have a small enough finger, you can basically have, you have a, I'm going to call a flat piece up here. Let me see, get a better angle here with my finger, this piece right here. If you can push on this right here, you can manipulate the auto choke right on the top right here. It's right behind the air box cover, and what that does is it engages and disengages on the auto choke down here. So I'll demonstrate that right now so you can see it. See how it's opening and closing right there. You see this little flat piece. The auto choke consists of like mainly two pieces on the top. You have your engagement piece that engages on top of the carb right here for that. You have like a big plastic block, and this thing engages against that. That's how it's opening and closing. You have this piece right here. It screws into the cylinder block back here. Then you have your auto choke heating element. It's a small cylinder shaped unit that's downside of the engine block down behind here for that, for reference points. So you can do a quick check right here just by pushing on the front portion right here. It engages on the top of the carb to function test to make sure that there's nothing binding on there basically, and that'll give you a reference point to go on to see if the auto choke is functioning or not. And if the carb's, you know, there's some kind of binding issue where it's not allowing it to function correctly, because you should not put any kind of oil, lubricant, or anything else on the auto choke mechanism back here, because if you do, it'll have some kind of binding issues. Because as you see right here, you got all this debris all over the engine and stuff like that. More than likely, if you put oil onto the auto choke mechanism back behind the carb back here, it'll start binding up over time, and you don't want to have that happen, because any kind of debris is going to cause some kind of friction problem, and therefore that. So don't put any kind of oil or you know, cleaning agent like WD-40, Aerocryl, any kind of mobile or motor oil on the auto choke mechanism to make it, you know, work maybe smoother or better. So just leave it bone dry and keep it clean. I personally just use like brake cleaner off on the machine, spray it off, put it back together dry, and it will never have any kind of problems with that for that specifically as well. The other thing I'm going to do on here, a new spark plug. We put a higher heat range spark plug on the engine. We put a BPR 40S as opposed to 5 to 6. And we also changed out the oil, cleaned out the tank. You did have water in the tank on here as well too. You have to verify the tank's clean. We can typically clean it about 3 to 4 times before you put it back on a machine, you know, to verify there's no water down inside the tank right there for that. It's a nice full tank of non-ethanol gasoline now. So we typically give a job back to a customer with non-ethanol gasoline, so it might run a bit more smoother and start up easier as well too, even though the gas is like, you know, $5 a gallon for the non-ethanol pure gas out there as well too. It makes the engine run a bit better out there as well too, so you have a little bit more power, and it should run overall, you know, better out there for the customer as well too. So that's everything we did practically for the machine. Changed the oil out a couple times as well too. The oil was getting kind of black, and install new intake gaskets in the carb assembly. It's always critical to install new gaskets into the machine on here before you put it back together, basically, because you want to have all new gaskets between your air box, the carb, and also the auto choke mechanism back here, because you want everything sealed up nice and tight. You don't want any kind of air being vented from the atmosphere behind the carb, because if you have any kind of upset the fuel ratio balance there, it's going to have hard starting. It might not want to start, or it might start surging on you out there. It might start wanting to die out even though you replace the carb on it. So always verify the intake gaskets are replaced on a machine, prior to installing the whole system back together on there for that, because even if you have like one little hole or split or crack in your old gasket, it may cause a problem, and it may have the engine be sucking outside air, which is going to affect the functionality of the fuel mix ratio for the machine. So we'll go ahead and put the machine back together here, the air box. I'll put a link at the bottom of the page if anybody cares to have buy parts for this machine right here. This is the HRX217 with the auto choke. Here's the carb. What I'll do is I'll put a link to eBay where you can buy the carb assembly, the intake gaskets, and also the auto choke mechanism for this one specific machine. So we'll give you a shot of the model number of the machine as well too, because this is a really common type of machine out here as well too. We have in our area. I'd say it's probably about the 10th or 15th one we've seen here this past year. So put this air box back together on here for that. Get it all covered up. There we go. Got the auto choke system on the front right here. And we'll get a shot of the tag on the back here. Here we go. HRX217 2VKA. MAGA 154, the first digits for the serial number as well too. So that's your good old information code. This one has the Easy Start GX190 engine right here as well too. So there's your engine's information on the top, low grade cam, high performance Easy Start GCV 190 engine. So we'll go ahead and fire it up here for you. This one also has the smart drive system on it. I personally don't like this system, but it is what it is, so I'm not going to complain. So we'll go ahead and fire it up here for you. I got the rope tied on here, so bear with me for a couple seconds here. Fires up in one pull, no problem. Go ahead and test the auto, test the drive. Driving okay. Driving okay for that. Shut it off here. Running fine, running great, one pull. So the machine runs great, ready to go back to the customer. It's all functioning fine. No hiccups, no surging or weird malfunctions with it right now. It's ready to go tested. And you always got to test the machine before you give it back to the customer to verify the machine's functionality, because you don't want to have egg on your face if you don't test the machine and give it back to them prematurely out there for that. So this is a quick video for the Honda HRX217 machine with the fuel system rebuild and overhaul on it. So if anybody has any comments, questions, whatnot, feel free to drop me a message here, and I'll try to get back to you with some kind of basic troubleshooting tips about this one specific job and specific repairs we have on this job, because typically most of the time the rest of the machine is like relatively okay, except for the drive unit on the machine out there. Typically those belts do need to be changed every 2 or 3 years out there for that. But the main problem we see over here for the machine is the fuel system, because people dump bad gas into them, and don't want to use clean fresh gasoline all the time. So that's a quick tip right there. Always use clean gas. Don't use any kind of old or dirty gas, guys. We'll see you and have a nice day.